Hi guys, it's Jamila here from Slapp. Today I'm going to be doing a video on some of my favourite bronzers ever. There are 6 bronzers that I've got for you today, so I'm very excited about it. I'm just going to get into it. But if you haven't subscribed already guys, please subscribe. We would love to have you in the Slapp family. And without further ado guys, here is the video. Today I'm going to be doing a video on some of my favourite bronzers, or some of the best bronzers. Some of these are new, so they're not as tried and tested and as loved as some of the other ones, but they are new favourites nonetheless. I'm going to be showing you some of them today. It is very warm in London, so I've got my fan on very quietly in the background, and hopefully you can't hear it. I will try and turn it off soon, but for the meantime I'm just going to keep it on because I'm absolutely baking, and I was very shiny in my last video. I'm still very shiny now, but just not as shiny, so I'm just going to get into it because I'm rambling. Okay, first up I'm going to show you 2 of my favourite reddish bronzes, and then I'm going to show you 2 of my favourite not reddish bronzers, kind of more neutral, and then I'm going to show you some of my favourite lightweight bronzers. My 2 favourite reddish bronzers, and 2 of my favourite bronzers, are the Fenty Beauty Old School Sunstalker bronzer in the shade Mocha Mummy. Most people have this. If you don't have this, it's a really good bronzer. It's very red, but it's quite warming and nice and kind of like a vibe. Another red bronzer that I really love is this Gucci bronzer. I bought this last summer. This is the Powder de Beauté Eclat Soleil bronzer from Gucci, and it's amazing. It's such a good bronzer. I love the packaging of this. It's got a really cute little mirror in it. It's got a little brush underneath, which when I first tried it, I didn't like it, but I actually do like this brush, especially for like sculpting the face a bit. And then I tend to blend it out with a regular brush. But this is such a nice bronzer. This is in the shade 5. The Fenty is 6.23 grams and 0.22 ounces, and the Gucci is 12 grams and 0.42 ounces. So the Gucci is like double the size. I think it is a bit more expensive. I don't think it's a crazy price. I will put it on the screen, but I don't remember it being wild or like OTT crazy. So if I had to buy one again, I'd probably buy the Gucci one, just because it's like everything in one. It's got the packaging, it's got the brush, it's got the amazingness of it all. I just love this bronzer. It's so nice and warming. It's a bit more glowy than the Fenty. The Gucci one looks a bit more radiant and natural. They're both amazing. Depends on your budget and what you're really looking for. This is just a lot more compact and easy to like throw in things. This is a bit more like delicate and precious, and you just want it to be like at home. So yeah, so they're both really good bronzers. Okay, hopefully you can't hear my fan. If you can, I'm really sorry. Let me know in the comments down below if you can, because if you can't, that means I can actually use my fan. I can hear it, so I'm sure you can too. So I'm gonna have to use like randomly shaped brushes. For the Fenty, I may as well use the Fenty, makes sense. I'll show you a quick swatch comparison. My makeup is so bad because it keeps melting off. This is the Fenty. It's got this little white inside, so it gets a bit dirty, but this is the color here. It's really nice. This is the Gucci one. They're very similar undertone. Gucci's probably a bit more red, but I like the Gucci one. On the other side, I'm going to show you the Gucci. This is the Gucci one in shade 05. It's very fragrant, overly fragranced, but oh, so nice. Also red. Why am I putting on so much? So they're both quite red, and they don't normally look this intense. It's really the brushes that are just a bit of the wrong brush. Okay, so next up on my list of favourite bronzers ever in the world at the moment are the less red ones. These are a bit more neutral. First up is the Hoola Toasted Bronzer from Benefit. Benefit had a Hoola bronzer for a very long time. Came in one shade, and then a couple of years ago they came out with 3 other shades. So they came out with Toasted, which was the rich one, they came out with Caramel, I think, and then they came out with Light. So it now comes in 4 shades. This is the deepest shade, this is the shade Toasted, and I really like this. This was my favorite bronzer before I started buying other bronzers. I got this before I had the Charlotte Tilbury, before I think I had the Fenty, or just after, and it was one of the first bronzers I had that actually worked for my skin tone. The very first and only bronzer I had was the Guerlain bronzer, which is really nice, but it's so light, it's basically my skin tone. So I didn't really ever have a bronzer that worked for me. So since Fenty launched their bronzer, everyone's been launching bronzers, so there are loads of bronzers now for all skin tones. Not every brand has a good range, but there are definitely loads available. So this is the Hoola Toasted from Benefit. My other favorite bronzer is from my favorite problematic brand of the moment, which is Charlotte Tilbury. This is the airbrush bronzer. This is my favorite bronzer of all of them. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm just not really loving Charlotte Tilbury at the moment. I feel like she's just regressing a little bit. So yeah, Charlotte Tilbury is not my favorite brand at the moment, but she is one of my favorite brands, was one of my favorite brands, and this is my favorite bronzer. This is the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush bronzer. This bronzer is supposed to give you an airbrush complexion, and weirdly somehow manages to do it, and it's huge, it's absolutely fat. I don't think I'll ever get through it. I always say this every time, but it's absolutely massive. The mirror is massive. It's also refillable, so when you are finished with it, you can just refill it, and you don't need to actually get a whole new bronzer or a whole new packaging, which is really good for the planet, especially because this is plastic. So yeah, it's just really nice that it is refillable and it is sustainable. And yeah, I just really love this packaging. It's like a big seashell. Did a video on it, I will link it down below, but it's really good bronzer and it's really nice. So they're both very good bronzers. They're very different. Obviously this Benefit one's way nowhere near as like swanky and fun as the Charlotte Tilbury, but the Charlotte Tilbury is kind of gives you under the sea vibes, and this Benefit Hoola Toasted gives you like Hawaii vibes. So they both give you kind of like vacay vibes in their own way. This comes in a cardboard box. The mirror in it is tiny, so not really that helpful. It also came with a brush, which I think I chucked away because I was just never going to use it, but it is a really good bronzer. It's got a really nice undertone to it. So this is the Benefit Hoola Toasted bronzer here. This is the Charlotte Tilbury here. So yeah, they're very similar. Charlotte Tilbury is ever so slightly more red than the Benefit, but they're about the same skin tone shade. I'm going to show you the Charlotte Tilbury first. This is my favorite bronzer, not my favorite brand at the moment, girl. I'm not feeling it at all. But this is the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush bronzer in the shade 4. And this one, the grams is rubbed off, but this is 0.56 ounces, and the Benefit is 0.28 ounces and 8 grams. This is 0.56, so it's double the size. Whenever I'm doing bronzer, I use this brush from Illamasqua. It's the IL245. I don't know why, I just love it. It's angled, but it's also got a firmness to it, so it doesn't just spread all over my cheek. So what I do, I definitely dab in some product into my bronzer, and then I dab it onto my hand so I don't get too much, because I do tend to go crazy. Okay, on this side, I'm going to show you the Benefit Hoola Toasted bronzer. And then with the Charlotte one, I normally just go a bit on my nose, so I just go in the middle here. I tend to gravitate towards powder bronzers because they're just quicker, easier, and they just give me a bit more of a kind of refined, airbrushy finish. They just look a bit more like soft, but like not too shiny. Next, I'm going to show you my 2 favorite kind of light, no bronzer bronzers, which some people might just say just the wrong shade and too light for me, which potentially is true. But also, I do think sometimes you don't always want like to see so much. And obviously with these, I can kind of buff them down and minimize them if I want to. but also sometimes it's nice to have a lightweight bronzer. So I'm going to show you my last two favorite bronzers, which are both my lightweight invisible no bronzers. So first up is the Chanel bronzer. This is brand new from Chanel. This is the Le Beige Healthy Glow Bronzing Cream in the shade 395 Soleil Tan Deep Bronze, and it is not deep enough for most people, but it's just about deep enough for me, and I do quite like it. It's something I've been using as a base for other bronzers, and it's also something I've been using just on days I want to look a bit more chilled and undetectable, and I just want my makeup to be a bit more subtle. It's very sheer, it's very lightweight, it's kind of moussey, it's kind of jelly, it's just really nice. It's got a really big tub as well, and you get a lot. This one has 30 grams and 1 ounce, so it's quite big. I just reviewed this, so I will link my video to that down below. The other bronzer that is on my list of favorite bronzers is the Patrick Ta Major Sculpt Bronzer Contour Duo. I speak about this quite a lot considering it's not the deepest bronzer, but I just like it. It's quite buildable. This is the bronzer here. It's a powder bronzer and a cream contour. The bronzer is very, very subtle, and it's good for like no makeup days, or if you just want something really lightweight, or you want to layer this on top of something else, perhaps a cream or something like that. It's very, very light, and it's not really rich enough for a lot of rich skin tones, but it is just about deep enough for me, and I do like it. The bronzer in here is 0.32 ounces and 9 grams, and the Chanel is 30 grams and 1 ounce, so it's a lot bigger. So this is it here. Very, very subtle. It is the Chanel bronzer. Might be a bit richer than the Patrick Ta. Basically my skin tone, but a lot of people do wear bronzers like that, so I don't think it's wild to think of a bronzer being just a little bit deeper than your skin tone. So I'm going to show you the Chanel one first. On the other side, I'm going to show you the Patrick Ta. Both of these can be built up quite easily because they are so lightweight, which is something I like about them. If you are a bit heavy-handed like I am, then having these lighter weight bronzers are quite helpful because you can just build them up without looking, well, most of the time without looking too nuts. So guys, that is it. Those are my top 6 favorite and best bronzers. 4 of them are bronzers I use all the time and I love very, very much, and the other 2 are new bronzers that I've been really enjoying. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully it's given you some inspo. Let me know in the comments down below if there are any I've missed, any I should be trying. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video. If you haven't subscribed already guys, please subscribe. I would love to have you in the Slapp family. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.